What is up? KeylowK here, and in this video we're going to be rating the Shoutout. This build was created by Nizar GG. I probably butchered that name, so if I did, I'm sorry about it. I'll be going through the pros and cons of this build, like always, and giving my opinion on whether this build is worth trying. Also, if you want more Elden Ring content, then go drop by Nizar GG's channel. I'm sure he would appreciate that. He has some insane Elden Ring builds for everyone to try out. So before we jump into this video, I'll give you a quick overview on how we rate this build. Is that we give a 1 out of 10 for each category. There is 4 categories and the score is rated out of 40. 4 categories are: number 1 is drip, where we rate build by its looks, because we still gotta be looking fresh. Number 2 is damage, where we showcase to you guys the most powerful and useful attacks on this build, which usually is the Ash of War, the jump attack, and the quick attack, or that is R1. Third category is whether this build is good for PvE, and last but not least, whether this build is good for PvP. Then at the end, we add the scores up and we'll get a final score out of 40. Also, wait around till the end of the video to see the Shadow Hunter fight Malenia. Without further ado, let's get it. This build honestly looks so fresh. The helm, armor, greaves and gloves look so clean. Also, the lore that Nizar GG gave this build really suits the build aesthetically. I love the color black. It's the same color as my heart. Because of the color of this build, it's already gained 1 extra point in my opinion. The armor set is the Knight's Cavalry set. The helm and armor are the altered versions of the Knight's Cavalry set. The weapon in my opinion just completes the look of this build. The axe elevates the aesthetics of this build, giving it a sinister appearance. The axe is called the Knight Rider's Glaive, which in my opinion, looks wise, it really goes with the armor set. This is the stats for this build right here. The 3 incantations this build has is Blood Flame Blade, Black Flame Blade, and Golden Vow. The talismans of this build that it has on is the Shard of Alexander, the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, and you will probably swap between these 2 talismans for the 2 incantations that this build wields during your playthrough, which are Lord of Blood's Exaltation and the Old Lord's Talisman. And in the Flask of Wondrous Physic we have the Thorny Crack tier and the Faith Not Crack tier. So this is a pretty strong start, but for the drip I'm giving this a 8.5 out of 10. This build looks amazing. I love the color, everything flows well, and the axe is like a chef's kiss for this build. The score may change in the future of the series, but this is definitely a high score for drip. It's also the first 8 out of 10 I have dropped for the drip section. Wait, I think it's the first 8 that I've dropped in the series.
Damn.
This build is starting off strong, but will it continue to be strong at the end of this video? Let's carry on and find out. If you're still watching and you're liking the content, then it would be appreciated if you gave this video a like. It would really push this content out to more people, and it also shows me that you want more content like this. I saw an interesting description on the Knight's Cavalry helm. It says, pitch black armor, thinly painted with dried blood, worn by the Knight's Cavalry who ride funeral steeds. Knight's Cavalry who now wander the dim roads at night were led by none other than the Foul Omen, and were deliverers of death for great warriors, knights, and champions. Anyways. Damage output has to be the thing that everyone who plays this game will put a lot of focus into it, and if they get it right, then they can play this game on easy mode. The Ash of War looks so dope on this build from what I have seen, so I'm pretty excited to try this build out for myself. From what I have seen, the Phantom Slash, when chained, does 4 hits. Not only that, but when you buff yourself with one of the incantations, you use the Ash of War. Then the clone also uses the buff or debuff, which makes this build very strong. So let's see what we can do with this build and what damage we can get out of it. This build has started out strong, but will it keep its lead for damage? We will soon see when we test this build out. let's test out the full power of the Phantom Slash. So we're just going to do a few test trials just to see how much damage output we can get on Godfrey. One, two, look at the damage! Man! Okay, so that's one new things. Sheesh! This Ash of War has some disgusting damage. As you can tell, we've hit Godfrey 4 times and the damage is about 4k for 4 hits. So every hit that you land is roughly about 1k with the Ash of War, and that's on the first Elden Lord. So far, this build is really living up to its name of the Shadow Hunter. The power, the damage, it is off the chain. It is crazy. And with that, I'm gonna give this another 8.5 out of 10 for damage. The Shadow Hunter, a forbidden build conjured from the depths of hell, spawned to the lands between to oppress and brutally bully any and everything that stands in its way. In this part, we get to play around with the build in PvE. This is the place where you can become the Elden Lord. This is the place where everyone tries to stake their claim to rule the lands between. Player versus environment, we're going to see whether this build is good in a PvE setting. Alright, let's get into it. Wow, look at what we have here. You are next on the menu, worm face. It was easy. It was easy. Now, should I take this on? I think we're gonna take it on. Let's go. Damn, you got me pretty good there. Look at that, this thing is so tough, man. I don't really like facing these things, but since this is called the Forbidden build, I have faith in this power. Let's get it. Damn. Look at the damage, man. Look at that damage. Oh, he missed. I missed, I mean. This is it, this is it. Can we get it? Come on, come on. Oh, look out. Hey, look at that. That move is so good. It attacks and then it evades. These things are so creepy. I don't really like them. But, let's go. We gotta phase 2 of them. Look at that. That damage on this. Let's go! We got this, we got this, we got this. Oh, he got me. Easy, easy. These things I hate, they're just fast. Faster than blue. Let's try it. Let's test the power of the Shadow Hunter. Can we get it? Damn. One. Oh, almost dead, almost. Can we get it? Can we get him? You almost did. Yes. Let's go. What is next? These burial watchdogs are quite easy in my opinion, so this build should have no problem taking this up. Come on, we got this. Oh, watch out. Damn, I might lose. I might lose. He got me. Damn. I stand corrected.
Aha.
And last but not least, we are going up against the Fire Prelate. This is probably one of the most fun sections because I truly get to play around with this build to see what it has to offer. And as you can see, for the most part, this just melts through PvE like a hot knife going through butter. This build really deserves this name of the Forbidden build. This is another enemy that I dislike. The Extractor Virgin. These things just annoy me because they're quite tanky. Even though they move linear, they're still a tough and menacing foe. But this build seems to deal with this enemy quite easily, which I don't mind, because that's what we're all here for, right? We want to make this game as easy as possible. But look at that, we make really short work of this thing. This build has exceeded my expectations in so many ways. The Ash of War really does put PvE on easy mode. This build is so strong with the Ash of War as well. You can either attack and evade or just go full on the offensive with the Ash of War. The whole build is really centered around the Ash of War, which in my opinion for PvE I'm not angry about. I mean, the Ash of War takes very little FP, so that is definitely a plus there. The Blood Flame Blade incantation and Flame Grant Me Strength are really useful. Also with the Ash of War and the Blood Flame Blade, if you can proc that bleed, that is huge damage. Huge damage. I have nothing but good things to say about this build, and I ain't complaining. So we're gonna go to the scoring board, and I'm gonna give this a 8.5 out of 10. With all that being said, let's get on to the next one. Let's get it. So far, I've given this build some really high ratings, which shows that a lot of thought has been put into this build when creating it. From the drip to damage and even PvE, it really has been breaking my rating scale. The question now is, will this build be overpowered for PvP? Today, we're going to put this theory to the test and find out. As usual, we will be playing 10 rounds of PvP, and I will give this Shadow Hunter build a rating. As Yugi Moto says from Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's time to duel!
Yeah. Let's go! Come on, come on, come on. GG's. That was a good round.
Hey!
Damn. Damn, what an OP build. I couldn't do nothing on that. GG's, brother, GG's. GG's! Let's go. How the hell are they so OP? Hey, we both lost. Even though I did lose, it's technically a win, so. Jesus. Oh, it is Jesus too. Look at that. Well, that was very disappointing. I got no hits on him. Well, we won by default on that one. That's probably one of the good things about the Ash of War. Oh, I just got smashed. And owned. GG's. So for the most part, this build has really been a solid build. For me, it's taken a little bit to get used to in PvP. It does have its downsides, but then also there could be a me issue. So here's my take on the Shadow Hunter build for PvP. As you can see in some of these clips here, the Ash of War does have some relevance to it. There is a few pluses to the Ash of War in PvP, but also there is some negatives. So for the pluses or the pros for PvP with the Ash of War, there was two things that I found that were really useful with it. The first one, it is pretty good for trades. So you can trade hits in a sense with the Ash of War. The next thing is that you can dodge while using the Ash of War. So it's kind of like an attack and an evade. The next thing on this build is running R1 is probably going to be your best friend. It'll be your bread and butter for PvP. It has very good range on the Knight Rider's glaive. It also can close the gap between you and your opponent. This one's kind of optional. Your crouch and R1 is another decent attack because it's quick and it's a horizontal attack. So those were the pros. Here are the cons that I picked up on this build for PvP. The cons for the Ash of War is that it's easily telegraphed. So that's one con. I also found that the quick attack or the R1 was okay in PvP. I had a hard time trying to land my attacks on opponents due to it being just a little too slow for my liking. But that's just me. Also, I've got to expect that from a strength build. Or maybe I'm just a slow one. But this is just my personal opinion. The strong attack or the R2, it really depends on if you can land it, but it is kind of a high risk, high reward. But for me, I would not bother using that attack. These are just my opinions on it. In a sense, we won 5 rounds to some degree. And I want to give this build a fair but an unbiased opinion on this build for PvP. So I think I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section if you agree on my PvP rating. I've had such a blast with this build, it's not funny. I've really enjoyed how you play with the Shadow Hunter. It's really been an enjoyable experience, in my opinion. It's probably been one of the best builds that I've played with. The drip is amazing, and it really goes with the aesthetics of the Forbidden build. And you can't forget that it's got my favorite color, black. The damage on the Ash of War, especially with all the buffs on this build, makes this an extremely good build. The poise on this thing is also incredible as well. So you match that with the Ash of War, and to some degree it's really hard to stagger this build. Then we got PvE, and man, the Shadow Hunter just makes everything easy in PvE. PvP on the other hand, it's still a decent build. It does have some cons to it, especially with the R2 or the charge attack being really non-existent when playing PvP. And that the Ash of War can be readable or predictable. But apart from that, everything else has been so solid on this build. So we're going to go to the scoring board and add everything up. For the drip, we gave this a 8.5. For the damage, we also gave this a 8.5 as well. These are very high scores. For PvE, or player versus environment, we also gave this a 8.5. And last but not least, we are giving PvP a 6. So this gives it a grand total of 31.5 out of 40. Now that is the highest scoring build so far that I have given. And I don't think it will be the last. I've had so much fun with this build that it is not funny. I've had a few laughs with this build as well. And I'm so glad that I am doing the series because it really makes me appreciate what other content creators go through to give you all these builds and information on the builds. Anyways, if you like this type of content, then I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean that you guys like the content and I'd also appreciate it as well. Also, leave a comment down in the comment section if you have tried this build and tell me what your opinions have been on this build. Also, as I said at the beginning, there's going to be bonus clips. So without further ado, I give you the Shadow Hunter build versus Malenia. I hope you all enjoyed the video and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!
I am Malenia, Blade of Mikola, and I have never known defeat.
After 10 attempts, it became apparent that something in this build has changed since the original build was made. But this is the Shadow Hunter Forbidden build. So I went and summoned the Forbidden Spirit, and this was the outcome.